Things you might find useful. This is the show or hide the line weight. Now the line weight isn't scalable in this program, but if I turned it on, you're not going to see any difference in this line because we've not really given it a thicker line weight. But say, for example, I loaded up this layer manager and I added a new layer and I call this thick lines. Now just because I've called it thick lines, it doesn't mean to say I'm going to get thick lines. So I'll just expand this out a little bit, and my line weight, the default value is 0.25, this one. So if I set it anything lower than that, you're not going to see any different anyway. So I'll change it to 1 mil thick and OK. And I'll change the color from white to red and OK that as well. I'll just minimize this. I'll use this minimize to there. So that's right click on this, icons only as well. So that's going to auto dock and just leave me with a little icon at the top. This is the layer manager, another essential part. And then I'll use the thick lines to draw a thick line, and there you go. It's displaying that line thickly. But if I zoom out, it's just a pixel thickness really. The closer in I get, the further out I get, just highlights it. If I turn this off, then I just get this. Okay, so be careful of that. And that's not the thickness that's going to appear in reality. For that to happen, you'd have to go into your layout, double click a viewport, zoom to the window, and this will give you a much more accurate display of the line thickness. So that's 1/4 of a millimeter, and this is 1 mil thick. So if I was to double click and select that, and then move that down and put it very close or on top of it, just move it away from it, so you can see, double click away, you should see there's about 4 of those into this one. Okay, so default line weight 0.25 mil. This is just a thicker line. Notice the way the ends work as well. So we'll go back to model space. Now, it's because these are much closer together now. That's why we couldn't see it. So it's not like it's disappeared, it's just much closer. Okay, so that's line thickness. So we'll turn that off. This one displayed transparency. If you have transparent objects on the screen, then this thing turned on or off is going to display that transparency for you. I'm going to get rid of both of these things. So line thickness and transparency, don't really want to see those. So line weight off, transparency off. Selection cycling, now that's quite useful. When you start to get a very busy drawing, I'll draw one on this layer, and I'll go back to my other layer, and okay, so now I can select this thing, easy enough. But if I wanted to select the red line under that, with my selection cycling turned on, it's currently off, so I turn that one on, that's that one. If I hover over that, I see that little symbol, and I click on it, and I got the option of picking 2 lines, okay, the red line or the white line. So if I wanted the red line selected, I could choose that and move the red line. Similarly, this one, the red line. So that's selection cycling. Now, the old school amongst you might be interested to know that the selection cycling used to be done using the Shift and spacebar. So press those down together, and then I can click and select the various options. Okay, so white or red. Then I could maybe choose and hit enter. That's going to select that one, then I can move it somewhere else. Okay, but this, you have to agree, is a much simpler option. So we'll leave that one in. 3D snapping, we're not going to deal with 3D, so we can turn this one off. So 3D object snap. Then we've got dynamic UCS, and again, we're not really dealing with 3D, so dynamic UCS, that's dynamic user coordinate system. It's like what SketchUp does, you offer over a surface and the cursor changes orientation. Okay, so that can go as well. And then we've got some 3D options, gizmo and other 3D selection stuff. So again, let's deal with those by turning them off because we're not going to deal with 3D. So we're getting right down to the nitty gritty now. This stuff, we'll leave it on just so I can keep telling you not to click anything on it. But it's the annotative objects. It's an interesting side of AutoCAD. You need to understand scale and styles before you can tackle this one. But we will have a go. This one is all about the type of environment you're working in. We are currently working in the drafting and annotation, but we've also got 3D basics, and we've got a 3D modeling, which is advanced 3D stuff. Okay, so it does all the 3D stuff, but we ain't gonna do it. So we're back to 2D. That's the environment that we want. We can turn off this menu. This thing, annotation monitor, we'll leave that on as well. And this one is the current drawing unit. So decimal, engineering, fractional, scientific. We're stuck to decimal. And again, we don't need to see that. So units, we can go quick properties. That's this thing. So if you turn that one on and select an object, then it gives you this thing, which is really frustrating. When it first came out, this was on all the time. Very, very frustrating. But you could set the properties quickly on this, but I don't know many people that turn that on, so we'll turn off quick properties, graphic performance, and clean screen. We'll leave the clean screen on just in case you get bold and you fancy working without any safety nets, then that's for you as well. Okay, so that's a quick tour of the interface. In the next video I'll just explain how to do some basic drawing, but I have produced a series of videos that explain all about the main drawing tools and all about the main modification tools. But this is kind of the general overview of the software that everyone got in class.